We are live. So we're here with Miss Fran Tortora, of course, myself, Dan Tortora. It is Tortora-Squared. Y'all are used to this, and I'm surprised that this doesn't break the internet when we have it on here. Two Tortoras in one place, and the last time I was here with Fran, I couldn't say this, but now I can announce my little sister as the Section 3 Class A champion.
Yes.
Thoughts?
It's great. Yeah, I mean, I think it still hasn't really set in yet. I mean, like, we were just texting with my team the other day, and we're like, oh my God, like, we actually did it. Like, so, yeah, it's just been everyone's just been so happy. I saw my team the other day, and we have our banquet on Monday, so it's weird not seeing each other, but I'm glad we went out like this.
You know, and to be able to do this, you know, and to do it on the road, to just be like on the road all the way through, what that means to you, to be the road team that has to constantly deal with playing in somebody else's house and even in the championship because there was no neutral field this year.
Yeah. I mean, like we said, like we talked about it before, and, you know, me and Molly didn't want to, you know, talk about it, like, with our team because we didn't want that to be, like, a point that everybody was focusing on.
Right.
But there was no neutral territory, and we had to play the championship game at Beeville. And, you know, a lot of people didn't realize, I mean, I'm sure you picked up on it, and a couple of the parents did after, but it wasn't just that we were at their turf. It was their announcer, and you could tell, like, when he was announcing, he was totally one-sided. Their pictures were going up on the screen after they were scoring, and so it was like completely, it would be like an in-season game playing at Beeville.
Right, so you felt like it was just playing a road game as opposed to a championship because there wasn't any representation for CNS.
No, not at all. So, yeah, I think it just made it a lot better, and I think it just kept giving us more motivation throughout the game, like, as they were announcing it one-sided, like, it was, you know, making us more mad, which, you know, ended up helping us in the end.
Yeah, you know, and I think that's, in you know, it is a cardinal sin as a broadcaster to be partial. So, I think, you know, for me, because I've gotten to, you know, cover Beeville and CNS and CBA and Liverpool and West Jenny and ESM and on and on and on, you know, I've had the pleasure of talking to so many different people, and I respect the heck out of Beeville. They played a tough game. I respect, you know, obviously what you're doing at CNS and all of that. And it was funny when I walked into the arena because I support everyone, but I was like, and I said to my girlfriend, I was like, if anybody has an issue with me supporting my sister, like I have nothing to say. I was like, at this point, you know, like I love everyone. I want everyone to succeed, but family run deep. Right. So
yeah, exactly.
I proudly wore Tortora 21 that day.
Yes.
And I can honestly tell you that, and it's funny because when we're coming up, I was about to say, like, there was the conversation of my girlfriend saying, so where is your family? And so we're walking toward the thing, and she's like, so and there's a guy standing up going, Fran! And I was just like,
Right there.
I was like, literally, the loudest person in the arena and the loudest person in the stands is your dad, Derek, my cousin. So I think it was really funny because it was that, like, oh, so where does your family sit? And he was right at the end screaming at you in that moment, and I was like, I couldn't have painted a better picture of what it looks like to have a loving father, a caring father, a passionate father who is also an Italian father.
Yeah, pretty much.
What is it like having Dad at the games? I know we've talked about stuff before, but I sat right in front of him, so...
It's great when you're playing good. Like, when you're playing good, like, I mean, you know he always has your back in the stands, like, and... You know, he's always yelling at you, and he's always, but in a good way. Like, he's motivating you, like, and he's cheering for you. But, like, when you're playing bad and it's silent, you know, like, the car ride home or, like, when we get home, it's just not going to be good. So it's good and bad. But, I mean, when we're in the championship game and in the playoffs, just to know that you have that support always is awesome.
And you had your papa there. Yeah. You know, Ralph was there as well. I marvel in screaming totally silent watching. Like, your grandfather just sits there as if he was having a cup of coffee on a beautiful Saturday morning outside on the porch. Like, he's so just watching.
Yep. But he will, like, if something's going on that he, like, just is ridiculous, he'll, like, just call my dad over, and then you'll hear them, like, whisper. Yeah. Which is funny.
Yeah, because they do. They have those conversations of, like,
or they'll just look at each other and shake their heads. Like, that'll happen, too.
But I will tell you that something worked, and I may have to do it more, is when the game was really, really, really close, and we're going into the overtimes. I don't know if you told you this, but I put my hands on his shoulders. So I went over to your grandpa Ralph, and I put my hands on his shoulder. All I did was I just put them on softly, and I bent forward, and I stared at the game.
Yep.
But in total silence. I didn't say a word to him.
Everyone was just like, I know my dad left. My dad was pacing.
Yeah, he walks away, and I was like, where did Derek go? And your dad's like, I don't know, like, probably down there somewhere.
Yeah, no, he can't. When the game's on the line, like, I think he did it in Jenny, too. Not it was like the first time we played Jenny.
Yeah.
He gets so, like, nervous. He'll just pace back and forth, and he'll just, like, shout out to Beardsley or, like, Molly's dad and be like, how much time's left? How much time's left? And he'll just be, like, praying and pacing.
And there was a minute 32, and Rick Beardsley was in front of me, and he looks at me and he was talking to me, and he's like, you know, we got a little time left, and I go, minute 32. And I was like, I need you to give me all you got. And he goes, I'm going to give it to you. And I go, I need a minute 33. I need you to give me one more second than what's on the clock. And he's like, you got it. I got it. But it's like he was in front of me. Your dad's here. My girlfriend's here. Ralph is here. And we're all just, like, watching this game. And we're watching you. And so Teresa and I, she talked to me about the game. And she said, I got to be honest with you. Like, I don't know anything about lacrosse. So we're watching the game. And as we're watching everything, like, obviously Beeville's goal is in front of where we're sitting.
Yeah.
And you come down and you take this shot around somebody. You go low and it goes in. And she looks at me and she's just like, did she just score? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, wow, she's good. Then the second one you come around and you shoot over. Yeah. And, I mean, we're talking about you guys are down by one, you tie it, then you help them get the lead. Yeah. Like, your goals were not just goals. They were crucial goals at the end of the game that you needed to force overtime.
Yes.
Bring me into your locked-in, game on the line, getting double, triple teamed, having people face guard you, and you're right in front of the goal, and I don't even know how you could see it.
I couldn't.
You couldn't, okay?
Yeah, we knew it was. I knew that I was going to get face guarded, but I've dealt with that all year. Like, I mean, West Jenny face guarded me every time we played them. Liverpool face guarded me at some points. South Jeff face guarded me the whole game. Both times we played them. So I wasn't the face guard. I wasn't too like shocked about. I knew, like, just keep wearing down this girl that's on you. Eventually she's gonna get tired. Get to your second and your third gear.
Yeah.
And, once you get the ball on a face guard, you're good. Like, you can set up your move, you can set up your dodges, you can, you have the ball in your stick, you're good. So I would get to that point where I would get her off me, or I would be open for a split second, and a teammate would see me, and they pass it to me. And as soon, I knew it was the first time in the game, in the beginning of the game, when I had the ball in my stick. And she started yelling. I don't even know what she was yelling. She was like, red, red. It was something like that. And you just saw, like, two girls coming. Like, are you kidding me? And every single time I got the ball, there was another girl coming. They were sending the double and cutting off adjacents. So I was like, of course. So I knew from that moment, like, that was how the game was going to go. So I just kept, wearing down the girl. And, I knew if I was going to go to cage, it was going to be against 2 or 3 girls. So when the game was on the line and we needed to tie it up and we needed a goal, when I saw a very small opening, I knew I had to take it. I mean, we saw in that game, taking saying we have a lot of time doesn't really do well with my team. Yeah. So when you see an opportunity, you have to go for it. Like, you have to get a point on the board. It's just, what we had to do, so.
you know, you in these shots that you took when you got the ball and you're behind, you know, and you're behind the goal, and I can see you as soon as the ball is in your stick. In my head, I'm thinking, you're thinking, I'm either going to shoot or I'm going to have to make a really, really good decision on somebody else shooting, because once the ball's in your stick, and I think the opponents know this, once you finally get the ball, you get that break and somebody passes to you and you have that ball, once it's in your stick, I feel like you are a dangerous commodity to anybody, because once it's with you, you 90% of the time are going to attack the net at some point.
And that's the thing, like, they will, a lot of times, I mean, and it was hard because my midfielders were completely gassed. Like, we had there were turnovers on both ways, and we only really run one midfield line. So these three girls were running back and forth and back and forth. So when the ball was in my stick and, you know, I could drive and the drive wasn't there for me going to goal and I was looking for cutters, you know, sometimes they were just so gassed where, you know, we had to depend on our attackers and everything. So, I think it was try to go to goal, and if that didn't work out, look for your teammates. And, you know, obviously if someone's cutting, I had a couple assists too. I mean, Molly, she played absolutely amazing. But other than that, I mean, it's frustrating, but you just gotta keep it moving and then work hard for the next play to get open and just keep going in this circle until there's an opportunity.
What, when you can't see a clear shot at the net, when you're double teamed, when there's all the commotion in front of the net, especially on those last two shots that were crucial, how do you know to take the shot when it's as contested and as just, I mean, the Baldwinsville's the bees, there's a swarm in front of you and there's these moving pieces. How do you know when to take the shot?
When my hands are free. I think that a lot of times they would send two or three girls on me and try to push me out and push me out and push me out, but my hands are still free. And if I can dodge and I can get my hands free, then I'm shooting the ball. So.
What did you see on those two shots at the end of regulation?
I saw a very small window. A very tiny, tiny, tiny window with a lot of room for air. But no, in that moment, I mean, you can't think about, okay, this could end up really bad. Yeah. It's just a split second. My hands are free. I see the opportunity, and that's all you have. Because if you hesitate, then they're all collapsing on you. So when you beat the first girl and you beat the second girl and the third girl's slide isn't there yet, you have to take that opportunity before everybody else can crash on you. So
when you come around, you went low, then you went high.
Yeah.
What did the goal look like in both instances at the end of the game to make you adjust on the fly in that moment?
The one that went right over the goalie's head when I was kind of coming down from up top more, that was more of I had time to crank back and rip it as hard as I could. So I knew just shoot it as hard as you could. Try that the goalie does not see it, and that's just what happened. It was a good shot and it was a hard shot and she didn't even move. So that worked out.
Having the trust and the faith in yourself in those moments, where does that come from that you can put the team on your back in a crucial situation or in any situation and trust yourself that deeply?
I think it just comes from, me being confident in my training, and being confident that I've done it in games before. And you can't think that, oh my God, it's a championship game. Like if I miss this shot, like we go home, there's a turnover, they're going to go down and score. So I think I trusted myself. I trusted my training. I knew that I could do it. And you're not going to make every shot. And, sometimes the calls aren't going to go your way. Like we saw in overtime when I came around and they called a charge. We have to stay in the game, So, I think my teammates did awesome. They all stepped up. Nicole stepped up with those saves, and that was just a moment where we trusted her, and she stepped up. So
can we talk about Nicole for a second, who played out of her mind at the end of the game?
Yeah, I think during playoffs, since the Liverpool game. Liverpool, West Jenny, and Beeville. These last 3 games, Nicole O'Neill stepped up so much. Like, this was like a completely different player. Like, this, she just went straight beast mode. She did not care. I mean, our defense, you could see, like, they were starting to trust her, and she was the backbone of our defense. And she was, you know, a reason why we were able to stay in the Liverpool game, the West Jenny game, and the Beeville game.
Nicole, at the end of the game, you know, the end of regulation, with 9.8 seconds left, and there's an opportunity right in front of her. Then there's an opportunity in the first overtime right in front of her. I mean, her best saves came at the best time. And what did she say after the game about where did she go in those moments to be like, we're in the worst possible situation. There's under 10 seconds, and they're in front of our goal, and there's just been a foul called, and here I am, where it's me and them. You know, essentially what people don't know about lacrosse, it's almost like a penalty kick in soccer. When you're in that situation, and it's a high percentage opportunity for the opposing team, and it's you versus them, it's 1v1.
It's basically your goalie.
Yeah, I mean, it's the goalie against the world. How in the heck did she lock it in like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think a big thing with Nicole was working with her all year was that she needed to trust herself.
Okay.
I think, like, one of the shots, the girl that primarily was taking those shots in the last couple minutes, she primarily shoots low. So we kept telling her, Nicole, that she's going to shoot low, she's going to shoot low. So she saved one of them low, and then I want to say it was the second shot. Like, everyone knew. We were like, she's going low, she's going low. She ended up going high, and Nicole saved it. And, like, that was just a moment where Nicole trusted herself. And, like, you just saw, like, her confidence, like, throughout the playoffs, like, just skyrocket, and it was awesome.
When you have to put everything on your goalie.
Yeah.
You have to put literally the world on her back. What was that moment like for you to be powerless and just to trust your teammate? Yeah,
it was hard. It was like in those moments when you're sitting on the attack line, like you want to go over and you want to be able to help your team. Like you want to be able to, you know, help them if they need anything or just be a part of the plays and like try to turn over and support them. But it's just a moment where you just gotta breathe, look at the sky, cheer them on, and just, you know, and that was hard because I know Nicole, she got a couple penalty shots on the line. There was one where I know Brooke and I think Molly McGrath knocked it down, like where they collapsed on her, knocked it down. The ref called the call. She got back on the line, happened again, got back on the line. It was like she got like 5 penalty shots. So, like, Nicole knew, like, her defense were giving everything they could. They were running in. They were collapsing on this girl, doing everything for her not to get a shot off. So I think Nicole saw that her teammates were giving her everything and they were supporting her as much as she could. And, you know, she did the same, vice versa.
Every move toward the end, because it looked like every call was not going your way.
Yeah.
So when every call is not going your way...
Seems to always go like that. Seems to always happen to CNS when the game is on the line. You know, seems pretty fair throughout the game.
And the thing is, you're inside and you get an offensive call on you.
Yeah.
Bring me into that call.
That was really disappointing. That was a moment where it's like the worst feeling as an athlete as letting your team down, like, and in the championship game, like, that was like the one time throughout the game, like, where it really hurt, where I was like, Beeville's going down in a fast break, and this like, for a moment I was like, this is gonna end, like, I just blew the game. And it was frustrating because when the play happened, when he called the whistle, I immediately grabbed the ball and I thought I was getting a penalty shot because I was like, there's no way that this is going to be a charge. And as soon as I got up and, like, fixed my goggles and I all around me, I saw all the Beeville girls jumping and I was like, no, they did not just call this a charge. And I just looked at him and I was like, really? Like, this is what we're doing? And, like, you just saw, like, Molly, like, no, like, that was not a charge. Everybody in the stands was like, no way, like, that was not a charge. But, yeah, that sucked really bad.
You know, and the thing is, you had to go through so many of those calls at the end of regulation, in the first overtime, and going into the second overtime. Yeah. How did you mentally stay strong as a team where it felt like every call was going the other way? Yeah,
I mean, and that happened in the draw too. I mean, we would go for ball and it would completely be empties, and so like it was very important, obviously, to get possession off the draw, and calls weren't going our way all the time at the draw circle either. So yeah, it was just, but the thing was that our defense kept stepping up in that. Like, they saw, like, okay, our offense is trying to do everything that they can, and these calls are not going in our favor. But they stepped up and they kept getting possession back for us. So yeah, that was awesome. And then when we would get the ball back from our defense, we just kept trying to capitalize on opportunities. I mean, you saw and there's no set thing to do. Like, you saw with the game-winning shot with Brooke and Kenzie. I took myself out of the play because I was being face guarded, and Brooke came around, and Brooke was going to shoot it, but the double came to her, and she saw the open player, and it was just like we all trusted each other in that moment, and it was awesome.
Here with Fran Tortora, of course, Dan Tortora, inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios. It's Tortora-Squared, but it's the first Tortora-Squared where I'm talking about a champion right now in Section 3, Class A, Girls Lacrosse. 1-15, season taken away due to a pandemic, win a championship. Yeah. I don't know if there's a better story. I don't.
No, I don't. We were talking about it the other day, that we were like, this has to be some sort of record. Like, this has to be some sort of record. I mean, maybe going 0-15 or 0-16. Like, to go from 1-15, only winning one game, and that one game was Central Square. Somebody not in our class, not in our league, but to go from that, and then COVID, so we couldn't do anything that year. So basically in 1 year, and people don't know, we didn't really have a preseason because of COVID. Yeah. We did 2 weeks of intramurals, a week of practices, and then we were in games. So normally we have a couple weeks, we have some time to really go through practices. We didn't have half of our team. Half of our team was still finishing up fall sports because they moved fall sports over. Yeah. So we didn't have, 5 or 6 of our starters. So we couldn't really work through everything we wanted to in those 2 weeks of intramurals. So we really only had that beginning week before a game. So it just made everything we worked really, really, really hard once we all could get together. Yeah. It just made everything like bittersweet.
I don't know how to describe what it's like. And I know you didn't see it because you're off on the field, whatever. I genuinely had my sunglasses on, and Teresa's standing to my left, and I legitimately, genuinely cried. Yeah. And then I cried a second time. Yep. and she just looked at me, she's like, "Oh, honey," and I'm like, if this is what I feel like for my sister with my kids, oh my God, but I have seen you work so hard, and you and I have gotten so close, and we've built such an awesome relationship, and I would do anything for you. And I feel so much love and care and protection of you, that the moment that I got to see your hard work pay off and you get to have this, I just couldn't help but feel that love in and of itself. I'm so proud of you. And I know at the end everybody's hugging you and there's 9,000 people, and I'm like, I really hope she knows how much I love her. Did you know? Yes. Okay. Because I did. I was I actually said to Teresa, I said, I'm going to jump over the barrier. I said, if they win, I'm going to jump the fence. You wouldn't let me over either. I was the last one to be able to go over. Yeah. I kept getting interviews and they were just drag, and I'm grateful for being interviewed, but in that moment you just want to run over and jump in everybody's arms. Yeah. and I thought it was fun. I just kept seeing everybody and I was like, I'm trying. And I remember I'm watching you getting interviews and I'm like, oh, that's cute what they're doing, because they're not going to get what I get. But I really did. I was like, I'm going to jump the fence. I have to jump the fence. But then I'm like, I can't jump the fence. I'm a broadcaster. But I want to jump the fence. But then I was like, I don't have my badge with me today because I left the badge at home. I did. And so I don't even know where it is. But it was just that feeling of like being so, because I tell people all the time, and I had somebody text me on the way to West Jenny game. He's like, I was watching the baseball game and I heard this Tortora. He's like, is that your sister? And I was like, pretty much. I was like, I don't need to go through this with you, that we're technically cousins, but I'm her older brother.
Yep.
So, but that was the thing. Like, I truly felt the love of what it was like to have a little sister on that Saturday.
Yeah. I think that everyone on my team was not nervous, but we knew we were playing at Beeville. We invited a lot of people. It was 8 people per player.
Yeah.
So we were excited about that. We were like, everybody needs to fill up their tickets. Like, but when we originally got there, I feel like because it was home field advantage, when we first were warming up and like, I would say the first minute of the game, you look up and like all you see is red. Like red 3/4 of the stand. And then like, once like I feel like 7 minutes into the game, like you saw like it was about even, and our parents were way louder. And I mean when we won and we walked off the field, like I feel like everyone's parents like was crying. I feel like a lot of the dads put their sunglasses on. The moms didn't care. But I feel like everyone was just, they knew what we've been through. They knew what we went through with being 1-15.
Yeah.
And then now, like, everyone was just so proud of us. I mean, and just to see, like, our bodies and everything, like, go through, like, emotionally and physically, like, and just to know, like, as their kids, like, we gave everything we had. Yeah. Like, we didn't have anything more to give. So if we didn't win this game, like, this was a game, like, we walked off and we gave everything. So I feel like they were just so proud, which was awesome to see.
And that's the beauty of it. And your dad immediately started crying.
Yeah.
Right after the game.
That wasn't a shock. I knew that was.
He got really red in the face, and he cried. And it just, when it happened, it was the most like I honestly feel like I watched the Mighty Ducks movies growing up. There's the Rocky movies. Then, like, this happened. I'm like, I'm watching an actual movie that, like, I saw as a kid. I'm watching, like, Cool Runnings, the bobsled team. Like, I'm watching the misfits that nobody believed in. Yeah. That they believed in themselves. They know, you weren't misfits. You know you're good. You know you had what it took. I mean, I talked to you at the beginning of the season, and your goal, you're like, we're going to get better. We're going to do this. We're going to turn this around. Your mindset, at the beginning of the playoffs, you and Molly said to me at Cafe Kubal, we're going to win a championship.
Yeah.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
So to hear somebody say it and then to go out and do it, and then to have that be, someone that you love and you're so close to, it honestly felt like I was watching a movie.
Yeah.
Did it feel like a movie?
Yeah, no, it did, especially like the build up to the game. Like, just, like, where we stood in rankings. And then the bracket. And then the home field advantage. And then the refs. And then the lack of respect from other coaches to our team. Like, we knew it. Like, it wasn't... And I think our coach, told us, and that fueled us, too. Like, we knew that the other teams, from players to coaches, that they didn't respect us as much as they should have. And I think just all of us getting every single disadvantage possibly that could have been thrown at a team during playoffs. Yeah. It just made us more hungry, and like it just made it more like a movie. Like we were like, okay, like one thing would happen, we'd be like, okay, this is great, like we're the underdogs. Then the next thing would happen, okay, we're still the underdogs, we're even more the underdogs. But it just made it more like a movie, but it made it even better. And I think that for our team, like, if Bevo would have won the sectional championship, like, yes, their fans would have been going crazy. But I feel like ours was another level. Like, our parents, and as long as we were celebrating, was another level of just happiness and why this meant so much to everybody in the program.
And the thing is, when you talk about the people in the stands, that was the conversation we were having, was the look around and for someone to go, this looks like a college game. This looks like what you would see at a D1 women's lacrosse game. Like the stands are packed and people are loud and there's fans on both sides and everybody's wearing their colors. Like, it felt like a real, genuine championship. Like, no joke, this game has so much on the line.
Yeah.
It was so cool to hear and see it, especially beyond all this COVID stuff, to have people with no masks on sitting on the bleachers.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's another reason, like, I feel like the news was all over us, you know, like, I mean, it was great, they should be, but, like, because of COVID, like,
yeah,
I feel like everybody wanted to be a part of it, everybody wanted to witness it, no matter what the outcome was, just, like, people that like high school sports. Like, I had people that had friends on both teams that just wanted to go to the game, that know nothing about lacrosse, that just wanted to go. And to support their high school and just to go watch sports without a mask and, you know, to just see all of this unfold. So that was awesome because it was like, okay, this is normal. Kind of. You know, it was like kind of the first big event since everything has been opening up. Like, the fair didn't start yet, concerts didn't really open up yet. But this was like the first event and thing where, like, people actually felt normal again. So that was cool to be a part of as well.
From you don't have a season, not anything, not a preseason, not literally nothing. From when you don't have a season to you're the first big event back, did God somehow create the grand equalizer of you had nothing, but then you guys got to be the premier event? Does that somehow, in a way, like, you went from 0 to hero? Like, you guys won the championship from 1-15 to winning the championship and beating the number one team at their house because there was no neutral day. I mean, you couldn't write a better, more beautiful story. But to not have any season and then of all sports to be the premier event, does that not somehow be, is that not the sweetest victory even beyond the victory?
Yeah. I mean, like you said, it just makes it so much better. And I think that we were all so tired of, like, I mean, and as high school athletes or any athletes, college, pro, like, we were always told for this past, I don't even know how long, like, because of COVID. Okay, we can't do this because of COVID. It has to be this way because of COVID. So, like, when they were like, okay, it has to be or it's not neutral territory because of COVID. Yeah. Like, that just made no sense to us. Like, that's when we were like, okay, but this is really, like, the like, what does this have to do with COVID? Nothing. Like, there's literally not one reason that you could,
like, go play at a normal park,
right? Like,
on a field. You know what I mean?
Like, I understand. Like, okay, maybe the colleges because it's usually in the dome. Like, maybe because it's college, but, like, still not.
Yeah,
really.
But you could go play at Lemoyne.
Right. Like, we could go play at Lemoyne. We could play at another neutral high school. You know, we could play at CBA. You could play at Hennick. There's a million high schools that we could have played at, or people could have played at. You know. So, and, like, even the interviews after, like, it was just, like, because of COVID, like, all the questions were about COVID, and it was just, like, everyone in that moment and since that, you know, the game started, nobody was thinking about COVID, and everyone was just living normal, which was just so, I mean, awesome. I mean, you guys were sitting there, and I'm sure not one person in the stands was thinking about COVID. No. Like, and they made it very normal. I sat in the stands, and it made me honestly feel like this last year and a half didn't happen. Yeah.
Something inside of me was like this calm, like, oh, don't worry, Dan, like, none of this existed. Like, COVID was just a bad dream, and, like, here you are sitting in the stands like normal. No masks. In this world. No masks on. Yeah. Your dad says Wolf. I say Fran. Did you hear me scream during your face-off?
I heard everybody. I heard Fran. I heard Francis. I heard Wolf. I heard Francesca. I heard Franny Fran from Peyton's mom.
I usually yelled during the face-off.
Yeah. Thanks for the pressure. I think, and that was the thing, like, during...
No pressure. I was like, let's go.
The worst.
And I also yelled out the times when I was like, 1:32, just a minute. Like,
and that's the thing, like, just to have the support. I mean, I mostly hear Beardsley and my dad. They're the two loudest. You can always hear them over everyone. But just to like hear the support from them, like in Beardsley, like yelling out numbers, and you like yelling out like there's only a minute left, like there's only a minute left, like just to have that support from both sides, from your bench and your coaches, from your teammates on the field to the people in the stands, like it was awesome, and it made the game a lot better.
It makes me want to have like an inside joke that if you're really upset or things not going right, that I can help you calm down. Like relax and be like, Fran, Chick-fil-A, just Chick-fil-A. Just think about it. It's gonna be okay.
And that was like, and just like hearing you guys yell like during, I mean, even the face off, like that is, if it was dead silent, like
yeah. I waited until nobody was talking, and then I did it.
Right, like, the face-off is so, like, okay, this is what is going to cause possession. If we lose this face-off, they're on offense. They can score. Game bad. Like, okay, it's on you. You're taking the draw. It's on your circle girls, them getting the ball. Like, so that was probably more nerve-wracking. I would say the draw is more nerve-wracking than shooting on the goal. But, yeah. That was, and I just knew, like, my body was hurting. Everything was just hurting. And I just had to give absolutely everything I had, whether I was shooting, whether I was riding, whether I was taking the draw, whether I was trying to get the ball on the circle. Like, I am falling down. I'm giving everything I have until I can't walk to win this game.
How did you will yourself to not only be in the game and relevant in the game and on the field, but to be in the face-offs, to run back on defense, to take the shots? You did massively crucial things when your body was literally in pain the whole time. How did you do it?
That's a question. I'm feeling,
because nobody asks athletes that. They're like, oh, you're on the court, you're on the field, you should be playing. How did your body handle it? How did you will yourself? Like, it really does show mind over matter.
Yeah, and that's something my basketball coach always told me. Saichen always says mind over matter, mind over matter. But I don't know. It was a lot of people, like, the night before, my dad was just watching me, like, limp up the stairs and limp down the stairs. And you could tell, like, he wasn't, just trying not to freak out. Okay, just drink some water, like, I was mad. But, like, knowing, like, that's not going to help.
That was one of the first things he said to me when I got there. He's like, Danny, she's not doing all right.
No.
She's in pain.
Yeah, so... And I think that, like...
I'm looking right now. You can't see it on camera. There's bruises all over you. There's open cuts.
Arms, I mean, my head before the game, I had the worst migraine the night before a game. My leg was not doing well from the West Jenny game. So I think that the only people that really knew were, like, the people that my dad were saying. And my coaches knew, in my trainer... and my teammates didn't know to the extent.
Yeah.
They really didn't, because I didn't want them to think, like, going into the game, okay, Fran's hurt. Like, this is putting us at a disadvantage. So I really was trying to hide it. Yeah. But my coach, Prentice, my head coach, pulled me off to the side in the beginning of the game. Because she saw me. It was hard to get going during warm-ups. That was the worst part. That was, like, getting the adrenaline going. And that's really what I was depending on, was adrenaline, which is so bad. Yeah. But I was depending on adrenaline to get me through the game. It worked. But I felt it after. I'm still feeling it now. But she pulled me off to the side, and she was just like, I know you're like me, and I know you're not going to tell me, and I know you're hurting really bad. She's like, I can see it.
Yeah.
She was just like, I know you think that this is worth your body and absolutely everything you have right now, but if it gets too much, just tell me and step off the field. And I just looked at her, I'm like, Prentice, I'm not going to step, but okay, thank you. I'll keep it in mind, but it's going way in the back.
Yeah. No one was going to keep you off the field.
No. I like I said, if I couldn't really walk, and my head was hurting really bad, but if I really couldn't walk, like I could not get up, that was the only way that I was not playing in this game, or I'm walking off the field.
But the thing is, migraine, bruises, pain, injury, you weren't just on the field, you were an integral part of the championship victory. How do you do that? How do you go from, I'm going to will myself to be on the field just to be in this game, and you shot on goal and scored. You handled face-offs. You got back on defense. as was said to me in the stands, you realize your sister's literally everywhere on the field right now. So it's not that you were in the game. You were a part of the game, a massive part of the game, a leader in the game. Your teammates relied on you. You were a huge part of it. Anybody that saw the game, without you, there's no overtime. Without you, there's no victory. Yeah. How in the heck do you go from, I'm in pain, I'm going to try to play, to, I'm not just trying to play, I'm leading. I'm trying to be an example to my teammates. I'm trying to give these girls everything I got because I love them and I care about them. And I'm going to put every part, every
and like you felt the pain through my leg, and I was just like, okay, you just had to mind over matter. It was like, it doesn't hurt, it doesn't hurt, it doesn't hurt, and then you bend down. So like I was doing that on the draw. When I was shooting, shooting is something where if you have pain going through your body, you give it everything you got. And I think that's why when I shot, it was as hard as it was. I was taking that pain and I was putting it through my shot. It's like, okay, oh, this hurts, but like, you know, give everything you got into the little things. You were using the pain throughout your body in an advantage.
Yeah.
While doing the mind over matter, like, okay, it doesn't hurt, it is not bad, even though it is that bad.
Yeah.
But you, as an athlete, like, I mean, there's a million athletes out there that have had to play through really bad injuries.
Yeah.
And they don't even know, like, how they played through it. It's just something that you either have that mind over matter or you don't.
How do you get it? I mean, I think, honestly, you become a life coach after that game, if not even before, that you doing what you did, you know, I think every single person in this world, no matter what they do for a living or who they are, can learn from you, because mind over matter is such a difficult thing to achieve.
Yeah, I think it was something that I was always taught with my dad, just to, when you have a lot of heart and you're going to do something, to do it the best that you can, and you know, and your heart drives you through everything you do, and your heart drives you when you get faced with diversity, when you're hurt, when you're injured, when you have a setback, when you're the underdog, when things aren't going your way with refs, with the way you're playing or anything. So I think that your heart and, you know, how doing it your whole life, like that prepared me for that moment where now it's, I didn't think about not taking. I wasn't thinking about, okay, this hurts, quitting is an option, because it wasn't an option.
Yeah.
So, and I feel like that was another thing, completely taking away, you know, my trainer saying, are you going to play? Like, quitting was not an option. Like, once you erase that, and that was part of, like, the mind over matter, like, okay, that's not an option. That's not happening. That's not in the cards for today. So what are my options? My options are to play as best as I can. My options are to depend on adrenaline. And to just get myself through play by play. So.
It's literally life.
Yeah.
Get me through day by day, piece by piece, step by step. Take a deep breath and have faith.
Yep.
You won a championship embodying the things that most people struggle to do every day.
Yep.
And your team did it with you.
Yep.
How much do these girls mean to you?
My dad always told me, because, I mean, he's won a national championship, that he was always like, you're bonded with these people for life. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, okay, Dad. Like, you know, we're all not best friends, but, like, we're not, like, but it's really right. Like, as soon as we won that game, like, you immediately felt bonded through something that, like, this was your goal that, like, maybe everybody on the team didn't think we could do. Yeah. But once we did it, it was like, okay, we are, and, you know, we've had a lot of things taken away from us, you know, being the underdogs and all of that, and the diversity being set against us, that once that happened, like, there was one thing that nobody could take away from us. No matter how long time goes by after it, nobody can say that we are not champs. Like, that can't be taken away. So, like, I feel like with that, and, I mean, we just bonded in that moment.
And that's forever, ever.
Yeah. I mean, we even were like, okay, well, we don't have practice, So, I mean, we had to get stuff ready for the banquet, but just everybody showing up and being like, oh my God, like, just really appreciating being around those girls. Appreciating, okay, the seniors aren't here anymore. Like, okay, that sucks, you know.
Yeah.
We sent them off in the best way that we could. But yeah, I think it just made everybody appreciate the time we have more. And for all the returners next year, I feel like that's going to help us next year as well.
Are you sad about states?
You know, before playoffs, in the championship game, we were like, you know, we don't even care about stakes. Like, we just wanted a sectionals. But once you win sectionals, you know, being competitive athletes, you're like, okay, we would have liked to see how far we could have got, you know? Yeah. But, I mean, it's nice playing the last game with your seniors. The last game we're playing is as champions.
Yeah.
But I think that we all want to push ourselves, and if we could do states, we would. Just to, you know, get our feet wet and see how far we could go, and, you know, what the competition outside of this is like. So, yeah. Yeah,
coming from Fran Tortora, Fran, Molly Molchinoff, your fellow captain, before a game, your Instagram story is you guys hugging, and it says, I promise you more hugs. Mm-hmm. At the end of the game, you say, I promised you more hugs, and you got them. Mm-hmm. You promised Molly more hugs before Liverpool, and you gave them to her. Mm-hmm. You promised Molly more hugs before West Jenny, and you gave them to her. Yeah. And you promised Molly more hugs before the championship against Baldwinsville, and you gave them to her.
Yeah. I mean, I think, like, the moment where I really, like, obviously when everything was happening, we didn't think about that it was our last game together. But on the bus, Molly sits across from me, and I was looking at her, and I started to tear up, and I was like, nope, she can't see it. This is way too much of a happy day. But it was like, crap, like, this is our last game playing together. Like, yeah. That sucks. But I feel like we've had this goal together, and the one person, I mean, we both can say that we could depend on each other. I mean, yeah. We've always had this goal, and we worked for it. Like, we did everything we could from team bonding. I mean, we talked about it on the show, how much team bonding we did. Yeah. And other teams may laugh, but this is a goal, and we needed to get there, and we did everything that we could to get to this goal, and we ended up completing it. And just being able to send her off this way is awesome, where she can now look back and it's all good.
When you look back on this season, what did you do throughout the season that became the foundation to win a championship?
I think it was a couple things. I think we had to get everybody on the same vision. Mm-hmm. That it's possible that we can do it. And, you know, once we got the majority of the team, you know, we didn't need absolutely every single person, but the 95% of the team, that we could do it. I mean, that was the first battle. The other battle was getting everybody not to just play a game. Okay, I have a game today.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to give absolutely everything I have and push myself as an athlete every single game. And that was something going into playoffs. I mean, our team was 50-50 on. I mean, me and Molly know our team very well. We don't pretend like our team is perfect in every we're great in every aspect, because we're not. We're far from it. So during playoffs, me and Molly looked at each other and we were like, okay, we're going to give absolutely everything we have, our bodies, absolutely everything. And we know that. And we're going to motivate the team as best as we can, scream as loud as we can, motivate them before we go on, during, giving them support. But whether they want to step on the field and give everything they have as athletes with us was up to them. That was something that we couldn't do for them. So as soon as the Liverpool game hit, we were like, okay, this is a different team. Like, this is a team where we can confidently say, like, they have our backs. Like, and we're going to win this. That was, like, another level of, like, trust. And, okay, now everyone's on board and giving everything they have.
You can't survive without it. You can't live without it successfully, positively. but it's a very hard thing to do. Trust.
Yeah. It is very hard. That, I want to say trust came... I want to say trust came through when diversity was being thrown at us. I want to say the most. And during the game in certain plays, and having your teammates' backs, I want to say like that's how we probably built it the most. And when all of this stuff was getting thrown at us, we could have looked at our team and been like, listen, like the odds are against us. It's not looking good. Let's just go out. Let's play hard. No. They saw that we as captains and as coaches, like we trusted them. And I feel like once we put, and it's hard to trust people, but to put 100% trust in them,
yeah,
and then they could do it back, it just made us invincible when playoffs happened.
Coming from Fran Tortora, the champion at CNS for Class A inside of Section 3. What do you remember of when the game ended? What are the lasting memories?
I would say hugging everyone after, like walking off and like just being greeted by all your friends and family.
Yeah.
And just seeing the joy on everyone's faces. I would say the jump pile. When everybody was jumping on each other, like that was the moment where it was like, okay, it's over. And it's over, and it ended on how we wanted it to.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say, and then the hug with my dad, obviously. That was like another level of just him being so proud. So that was awesome.
And I actually have, I'm the one, your dad said, he's like, hey, when she comes off, make sure you get me hugging her. And I got a bunch of versions of it, but this is my favorite one. Because you can actually, in the moment, see like the embrace about to happen and just how truly happy he is and how happy you are.
Yeah.
What was it like to hug Dad?
Yeah, I mean, he told me before the game, he was like, it's not about winning or losing. He's like, for me, I want you, like the last time I played Bevo, and I had 11 points, and I had turf burn all over me, and I was bleeding everywhere. And I walked off the field, and he hugged me, and he was like, I'm so proud of you. You gave everything you have. And he just told me before this game, he was like, you cannot control the uncontrollables. You can only control yourself. He was like, walk off that field and knowing that you left everything you had. Your body, your everything, emotions, you left everything on that field. And I will hug you, and I will be proud of you. So just to be able to do that, whether we won or lost, but winning just added like another level of, happiness to it.
The last shot, you didn't take it. You were obviously there to help. Bring me into watching the last shot.
That gave me an absolute heart attack. That was really trusting my teammates. That was a play where I saw if I were to get involved, and like when it was unfolding, if I were to get involved, that it wouldn't have worked out, because it would have clogged up the 8, and it would have not gave room and space for my teammates to dodge and get stuff done. So when I saw that Brooke had the ball and Brooke was coming around right-handed, strong-handed, I held my space to give her room, and my defender was behind the cage with me. And I feel like that was a moment where everybody assumed that I was going to take the shot, where all of the defenders were like, okay, hedge to Fran, where they slid the double on Brooke and left Mackenzie wide open, like for days. And that was just a moment where that was a miscommunication in their defense, and they were worried about the wrong thing, and they assumed that my teammates wouldn't be involved in the last shot. And Brooke just did an amazing job. You know, she wasn't selfish, and she didn't just come around the cage and take that shot. She read the defense, the double slid on her, and she passed it to Mackenzie, who was wide open. And Mackenzie quick sticked it in before the goalie could even get position. So I was just watching behind the goal, and I was probably the closest person to have the best view of it.
Yeah.
And I'm just watching Brooke go around, and I'm like, Brooke, shoot low. Brooke, shoot low. Low, 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 low. And Brooke passes it, and I'm just like... and I just watched the ball go in, and I'm like, oh, I mean, the news caught it, but Mackenzie jumped in my arms, Brooke came over, and then the whole team got in a jump pile. But that was just a moment where you had to trust your teammates and realize that, you know, I could have been selfish and tried to get the ball and ran through 4 people.
Yeah.
But if I were to just hold my space and realize that, okay, everyone's worried about me, but they're leaving my teammates wide open, why am I going to try to get involved in a play that obviously worked out?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, an incredible play on an incredible season when it all came back and it all came together. You know, God is good.
God is good.
And to have that moment and to have that just amazing, you know, you've won a championship.
Yeah. Yep.
And I don't know what words to say other than to just live in that moment. And, like, you can always go back to that moment.
Yeah. That's something that can never be taken away. And I think that's why, I mean, my team is just so happy and so joyful and so just, like, bonded together.
And you got another year.
Yes.
And then you got Stony Brook.
Hope we're not the underdogs next year. We probably still will be, but...
Doesn't matter either way. It's what you think of yourself. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Tune in Monday through Friday live from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Watch on Facebook.com/LiveNowDT, Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT, YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT, and you can listen on MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT worldwide and on WakeUpCallDT.com. After the shows go live, you can find them in our archives by searching Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora or searching one word, Wake Up Call DT, on Stitcher, Spotify, MixLR, YouTube, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Podbean, and iTunes and Apple Podcasts. A special thanks to all of our Central and Upstate New York partners that work in this community and give so much and go well beyond the typical call of duty. The way that they have navigated through some of the toughest times we've all been through has been incredible. This team is strong. And I'm very happy to know that a team is only as good as the sum of its parts, and these parts are incredible. Cafe Kubal, Carvel DeWitt, Wildcat Sports Pub, Chick-fil-A Cicero, and Chick-fil-A Clay, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Avicoli's, Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, Pizza Man, Honda City of Liverpool, PB&J's Lunchbox, the Millhouse Market, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, and Mon Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. All of this has been brought to you inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, and you have rendered me speechless, so the only way I'm going to end it is tell you that I love you very much.
Love you too.
Thank you for everything. Fran, the whatever you want from here on out, go get it, because you already did something absolutely incredible. So the Tortora family, very proud, very, very happy older brother, and I look forward to you continuing to make me cry for the happy reasons.
Yes.
This is the champ. She's a champ. Just out there being a goat. We'll talk with you all soon.